Okay, hey guys, this is going to be the last video. I determined all the variables about which is better, the Simgot EA500LM or the Simgot EM6L, or just for shits and giggles, the Audio Hype 2. And I've been saying for the longest time the Simgot EM6L is basically almost perfect, and it still is. Again, it's got the smoothest treble out of these three, a warm boomy bass boost, 2.8 kilohertz ear gain scoop, and again, maybe a slight bit of 4 kilohertz prominence, maybe a slight roll off in the high treble and air. Besides that, perfect, flawless. A nice treble bubble. You could argue that the high frequency roll off a tiny bit is actually a good thing, so things don't have bite and over shimmer to them, but over hi-fi, if you want to call it that. It sounds like you're in a warm boomy room, slightly dampened walls where the high frequencies slowly start to roll off. It's really, really pleasing, smooth, bright, clear, plenty of treble and all that stuff, plenty of bass, plenty of mid bass, plenty of ear gain scoopage. Then they recently came out with this, the EA500LM, which comes with a bunch of nozzles that I don't recommend using. And it sounds pretty similar to the EM6L, except it's lumpier and has more top end, more high treble and air, to the point that, it sounds bright and shimmery and sparkly. But again, there's this 8 kilohertz peak, there's this 5 kilohertz prominent lump that really fatigues. Like I was listening to these casually a minute ago, and I was picking up on the tonality problem. It was slowly creeping into me enjoying the audio. So yeah, I said I kind of flip-flopped back and forth. Do I recommend this thing? And honestly, no, I don't. The peak coloration and the treble is just too much. It's just too much. It ruins it. And the EM6L is just a lot smoother in the treble. It just sounds a lot more transparent, less lumpy, less fatiguing, less distracting. So as much as I love the fact that these are made out of metal and they're, shiny and shit, and they're almost like a higher quality EM6L build, the EA500LM is just too lumpy, funky in the highs, peaky. It colors the sound too much. That was my first impressions, and it's true. Tonality wise, tuning wise, they did a pretty good job. If you just keep the bronze or gold nozzle, whatever you want to call it, with the red color on it, if you keep those on, again, it sounds, I was trying to listen to it and just enjoy it, but the coloration was getting fatiguing over time. It wasn't something that I could just ignore, and that was my first impressions, and I still can't. So then we have the audio. The audio, I think one of the main problems with this is, besides the fact it scoops out too much mid bass, and the only bass you really hear is like this subwoofer every now and then effect. A lot of the main body of the treble, around 9K, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9K, it seems a little bit too low, and it almost like doesn't sound bright enough. It sounds like the treble is too distant by just a little bit. I was trying to figure out what I was hearing, and I think that's it. The treble just sounds a little bit more distant compared to the EM6L. So the audio, again, it sounds like a subwoofer. The mid bass is thin, where the body of the bass is. The body of the treble is, reduced by a couple of dBs too much, so treble sounds distant, and there's one or two cuts in there around 10K, 9K. That kind of takes out some of the treble information and stuff like that. But then it kind of shoots up in the highest frequencies that gives it some bite that the EM6L doesn't have in the treble. So it kind of almost makes it sound brighter, but yet at the same time the treble sounds more distant or lo-fi or, you know, harder to hear. So that's kind of what's going on. So again, the The-Audio Hype 2, nice big, you know, nice cable that it comes with, very nice cable, nice, you know, size and everything, really, you know, feels substantial, even though, you know, it's not made out of metal, I don't think. So, you know, it's, you know, again, thin mid bass, anemic mid bass, subwoofer effect, you know, distant treble, bitey, bright, high frequency air treble. And the EM6L just sounds better, you know, and it's the cheapest, you know. So get the Simgot EM6L. It's the bestest. Maybe get an upgraded cable like I did. It's the cheapest. It sounds the best. It sounds the most polished. You know, people who say it's bright, whatever. You know, at least, you know, it doesn't have bite or shrillness or lumpy fatigue. You know, at least I think it's the best thing out of all of these. I wouldn't buy any of the other ones, to be honest.